Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host, the Hut. And this is, of course, a late night live stream on Saturday night. Just wanted to come and say hello. Hi, how are you? I want to talk about the New York Mets for a little bit, a little while. And don't be afraid to participate in the chat. More than welcome to participate. I encourage it, as you know. And the big news today was that another big player is off the board as Dansby Swanson. And J.D. Martinez, he's signed with the Cubs. 7-year, $177 million. It's not bad. It's not a bad contract. Not a bad contract. And J.D. Martinez signed a 1-year deal with the Dodgers. I don't have the money for that. I saw it before. I forgot to check to see what the money was for him, but you take a quick peek. But in the meanwhile, of course, please like the video. $10 million. That's not bad. Interesting to see what some of these guys that are now like not the top guys are going to sign now, because the top 21 players coming in have signed. So that's interesting. Let me say hello to chat. Hello, Buzz Talk Live. Ryan Shaw. How you doing? An irresistible chicken sandwich. How you be? What do you say? Me here, you there. Hot Summers has arrived. Let me work on my ad-libs. Buzz Talk Live says, should we go for Duvall? Duvall? What the hell is that? What, that old and Duvall? Nah. I'd stay away from him. He's had injuries. I'd stay away. But if the Braves don't want you, you stay away from them. Let me take a look. People have been asking. Let me look at his numbers on the side. So let's take a look. Shall we? Yes, we shall. All right. And Duvall. Okay, he's 34 years old. He'll be 35 in September. He's a .230 career batting average. He's got 230 batting average. It's not great. 289 on base percentage, 465 slugging. Now that's the thing about him. He's had a lot of home runs. Not as many as you would think. 1, 2, 3. He's had 3 big real years offensively. And beyond that, it's nothing great. I wouldn't do that. I'm not a big fan of his innings. He's an all-nothing hitter. The Mets are looking for more balance in their lineup. They want a guy that now Drury's is a different story. Brandon Drury's a different story, because Drury, we saw him in 21, and I like him a lot. That guy can hit. That guy can really hit. But he's had injury issues in his career. But let's take a peek on him just a little bit. Now in 21 with the Mets, he had 274, but he was raking when they sent him back to the minors, and then they kept him down there, which I didn't understand. But last year, he hit 263 overall with Cincinnati and San Diego. 320 on base percentage, 492 slugging percentage, 436 slugging percentage with the Padres. He did not hit nearly as good with the Padres as he did with the Reds. Obviously, with the ballparks, that makes a difference. We want to get a better idea of how he would hit with the Mets. Is basically look at 21. His numbers were really good, but he doesn't walk a lot. Keep that in mind. But he's a good hitter. I liked what I saw when he was here with the Mets. I don't know what he's going to be looking for. I don't know what kind of contract he's going to get. I don't think it'd be crazy. Maybe a 2 to 3 year deal with him. There's WAR in his careers too. And 2,100 at bats. That's not very good. Yeah. But Brandon Drury's not a bad idea. I like his bat. Ryan Shaw. Maybe Brantley. Michael Brantley. I wouldn't have a problem with Michael Brantley. Michael Brantley has been a good hitter, and he can hit lefties, and he can hit righties. I would take no issue with him. He is 34 years old. He was injured last year. It'll be interesting to see how much does he have left. I haven't heard much about him. I haven't heard much about his market, to be honest with you. That I would mention. Greg Zeman says A.J. Pollock might work as another out. Exactly. He's not a bad hitter. Here's the thing. I like Pollock. He's all right. Sorry about that. I had a bit of a, as always, a glitch, and everybody gets the hell out of here. This is a glitch. Buzz Talk Live says, "Wonder what the trade of McCann would look like." Like, I'm not going to get crazy. It's whatever they can get for him. Whatever the Mets can get for him is fine with me. To be honest with you, they're going to have to eat some of that money if they're going to get anything of value. And what are you going to really get? You'll get a middle reliever out of them. I mean, that's probably what you're looking at. Middle relievers are like a dime a dozen. The middle relievers always get moved. That's probably what the Mets will get for him. Now, I would mention this. Kodai Senga was officially announced with the Mets tonight. So the Mets' 40-man roster is now at 40. They have not announced Omar Narvaez on the Mets' 40-man roster yet. So once he is announced, they're going to have to make some kind of move, a corresponding move, because it has to be 40. It can't be over 40. So keep an eye on Darren Ruff. Darren Ruff could get released. That's the easiest call the Mets could make. So that is something to keep an eye on. That might be the next move for the Mets, is getting rid of Darren Ruff. I'm going to read you an interview from about Steve Cohen today. He did an interview on the New York Post. I'm going to read you some of the things he said. I thought some of it was great to read it. And it's from John Heyman, the arson judge of the MLB media. 3 days after the record deal was done and star shortstop Carlos Correa was gone to the Giants for a shortstop record $350 million, you could still hear a tinge of disappointment in Steve Cohen's voice. Quote, "We're trying," the Mets owner told me by phone, "to start a half-hour conversation about he could operate with only winning in mind and possibly spend so much money and accept such a large tax hit without seemingly feeling any pain." Quote, "We're definitely trying," I guess he says again. Of that, there is absolutely no doubt. Perhaps no one has ever done more in trying in baseball. He's spent nearly $500 million on free agents this winter, and he seems to regret not spending more, at least in this one case. He sought to push that figure by close to $300 million for Correa to what would have been a record $750 million plus winter outlay when he made a surprise call to Correa's agent, Scott Boras. Word is he actually called a couple of times in a spirited attempt to sign the star player before he came off the board. Now, I would mention that the Yankees spent more money this offseason on their players than the Mets did. That's just what I'm saying. But alas, Boras told Cohen they were already down the road with someone else, which would be the Giants. Quote, we thought maybe he might fall to us, Cohen added about Correa with just a hint of lament. Cohen clearly loves players, and he loved the idea of adding Correa to pair with the superstar Francisco Lindor on the left side of the infield. Quote, he's a great leader and a good guy. He could play third base, and he's a great defender. We got there late, he added about the 11-hour effort first reported by The Athletic. Cohen will recover, however, and he'll be ready to strike again. He noted there would always be another free agent. He didn't mention who that might be. We can only guess. Shohei Ohtani, Juan Soto, and that's pretty much it. But the interesting thing was that in this article as well, he said that he has handled such large amounts of money, such large sums of money, that really him doling out money to these players is not a big deal to him. Let's see. Greg Zeman says, how about McCann from Mark Melancon? They were both lousy last year and have similar contracts. So let me take a look. I have no problem. I'll look up a player for you if you're interested in talking about it. Let's take a look. Just one player. Nobody cares about Mark McLemore. And played forever. Oh, isn't that interesting? You're right on the money there, Greg. Mark Melancon has. Let me take a look at his money. He's been a good pitcher. He's a pain in the ass against the Mets. So this year, this year and next year he'll be making $11 million. So this year coming up, he's going to make $6 million. That's that's actually a very interesting amount of money. He used to make a lot more money than that. They pitches for the Diamondbacks. I don't know. The Mets will still have to eat McCann's contract, to be honest with you, Greg. But that's not a bad idea. Melancon's been a good reliever for a long time. Let me take a look at his other numbers here. So Melancon pitched 62 games last year, 56 innings, 63 hits, that's a lot of hits. 5 home runs, that's all right. 21 walks, that's not very good. 35 strikeouts, so he's a contact reliever. So this is the lowest his strikeout per 9 innings is for Mark Melancon's 5.6 strikeouts per 9 innings. So obviously his stuff is not what it used to be. And his walk total was way below his average over the last few years, and his hits per 9 innings is high. I have no problem bringing in another reliever. So you know what? I'd do that deal. But obviously the Mets would have to take money in. And they would have to take another player in this kind of a deal. That's not the worst idea, but I don't know if the Diamondbacks would do it. The catching market is an interesting market because you got teams that are looking for catchers. I think Pittsburgh picked up Austin Hedges. So Pittsburgh's out of the market. So what we have here is we have the Rangers, the Arizona Diamondbacks, the Cubs, Houston, San Francisco, the Padres, the Tigers, the Rays, the Marlins, Boston, Boston, and the Padres. Boston and the Angels. So there is a big catching market, believe it or not. But we're going to find out in the next few days. By the end of the weekend, I expect the Mets to make another move to get somebody off this roster. Because they're going to announce Omar Narvaez on this roster at some point over the next few days. And I really also think there might be 2 other moves coming down. Another reliever coming in here and a bat. Preferably a very good bat. I guess we should run down some players that are still kind of out there for the taking that would be of interest to the Mets. Let me just go through a couple of things here. Because, I got a list of players and where they've gone, where they're going, and who was interested. So really, I got all these names, and they've all been eliminated in terms of where they're going. We know that Martinez went to the Dodgers today, so he's off the board. All right, let's go. Yoli Gurriel. I don't think he's coming to the Mets. I don't think he's good enough. Is a good enough hitter. Mets don't need a first baseman. He's not coming here. Justin Turner. We were hearing tonight. I was reading tonight that Boston was interested in him, which means he's probably getting close to signing somewhere because it seems like he probably has a contract somewhere and they popped up a team. Because that's what happened with the Dodgers over the last 2 hours before Martinez signed with L.A., that the Red Sox were interested in bringing him back. But that didn't happen. Justin Turner, I am not a big fan of his. I think I've made that very clear, and I don't think he has as much. I don't think he has a lot left. So I would not be too enamored if they brought him in. Let's see. Jerickson Profar. A new team has been added to this, and that is the Houston Astros. They seem to be a little interested in him. I wouldn't touch him either. The Rangers and the Padres, he's been a lousy baseball player. Boy, I tell you, for a guy in Profar that was such a high prospect, to be so bad, to be so lousy in his career, it's very strange. Brandon Drury. Now, Brandon Drury, I would be all in on him. He's a guy I would like to have here. I think he would provide enough protection for Pete that the Mets could do pretty well. And you can play him around. You can play him in the infield. You can play him at third a little bit. Play him at second. You can play him in the corner, outfield. So, I mean, that's kind of the player the Mets are they should be looking for. Greg Zeman. Could you see Nito getting traded instead of McCann because of McCann's bad contract? I mean, maybe, but I think Buck really likes him. So I don't think he would be traded because I think Buck really likes Nito. You know, Nito did a good job last year. He was good catching the pitching staff. He's got a good arm. He was a positive WAR player. His offense, which if you look at his numbers across the board, were not very good. However, he led the league in sacrifice bunts. I felt that he was very difficult late in the game to pitch to. He got a lot of big hits late in the game. I thought his at-bats were very consistent. For Houston. All these DHs did not hit well in the second half. He didn't hit well, Josh Bell didn't hit well, and JD Martinez. None of these guys, which everybody was clamoring for, it's funny, everybody was clamoring for him, but the Mets did not relent when it came to being productive. Everybody complained that the Mets didn't get these guys, but none of them were productive in the second half. Interesting. Brandon Drury is a guy that I would look to bring in here because, like I said, he's got a lot of versatility. He could play the corner. He could play second. He could play third. He could play left. He could play right. So he's a guy that really could do a lot for a team, a winning team as well. Gene Segura, he's still out there. I don't see any fit with him with the Mets. I know there are other players. I know that there is Will Myers. I wouldn't touch Will Myers. I don't think he's as good as he was. I don't think he's as good a player as he had been. There's some players that are on this list that are right-handed bats. A lot of them aren't that great. I'd rather have a good hitter than a right-handed hitter and not be that great. That's why I'm not uptight that JD Martinez went to the Dodgers. I don't know how much he has left. Because if he has back issues, the first thing that goes out when a player has bad back is his power. We saw that with Don Mattingly many, many moons ago. Mattingly's power went kaput once his back went out. He could still hit, but he wasn't like this long, this long ball threat. Martinez is not a long ball threat, specifically with a bad back. To be honest with you, I would be okay with Michael Brantley. I said that before. I think he'd be pretty good because he's been a very good player. He's been a professional hitter for a long time. He's won. The guy knows how to hit. The question is, he had an injury. Is he still good enough to be protection in the middle of the line? I wouldn't go crazy on the money. I'd give him a 1-year deal. But I could be convinced to sign him. It wouldn't be that difficult to convince, believe me. Because he's been a professional player for a long time. It's whether you think and your scouts tell you. If the Mets scouts say he can still hit, he still has the bat speed, he still is able to hit that fastball, to pull it, and be able to put that ball wherever he needs to be, then I wouldn't be all for it. And, of course, in the blue corner, the guy we've been talking about for over a year and a half, whether he's going to be here, Michael Conforto. Really? There's two of us in here? What the hell? What the hell? Let's get out of here. What the hell's going on here? There's two of me in here. What's going on? Let's see if we can fix this. Well, obviously, there's a bit of a glitch in the channel. All right, now we're back. I seen double. What the hell, man? What was I saying about Michael Conforto? I'm going to be on too much more. Michael is a guy, we know his power. The Mets need power on this team. Greg Ziem, if the Mets sign Conforto, would the Mets trade Vogelbach? I don't know. I think they like Vogelbach a lot, personally. So and he's been part of the Christmas party that they had yesterday. So I don't think they would, but who knows? Who knows what the hell's going to happen next? Who knows? Let me just take one real quick peek here. And we can call this a very late and very short live stream here at the Baseball Hut. I did promise I wasn't going to do a live stream tonight, but things kind of changed here. So I just wanted to come on, say hello, and just get through the day and just talk about the Mets. But I'm very proud of this team, very proud of the new ownership that's here. It took them a year to put a team together that won 101 games, and they've maintained that as a group Um, and we will see if they can improve upon what they have here. But essentially, they replaced pieces with pieces. They had so many free agents. These guys had to get replaced. And they've done a fairly good job replacing them. With some of them actually not a lot of money. And you know, they're older now. I mean, that's the one thing that's going to be an issue now, is that this team is older. The fact that this team is older is a major problem, obviously, because you can't you got to be able to bring in other pieces that can fill in when some guys are hurt. So that's the one thing about having an older team, because that's what happened in 2006. You know, is because the pitching staff was older. When we got to the end of the season, Pedro got hurt, and then El Duque hurt his leg before the playoffs started. You know. And they lost Sanchez, and that's a very freak injury. Buzz Talk Live says they must sign Alonso and McNeil. We'll see. There's no rush on that. There's no rush. I'm not rushing, and nobody else should either. John Rossi, who would take Vogelbach? The guy's got a lot of value. The guy. He's a very strange bat, but he's actually not bad. He's actually pretty good. They did give up, a young reliever for him and Holderman. So somebody likes him. The Mets liked him. The guy has hit 30 home runs in the major leagues. The guy is not a slouch in terms of power. He's not a high average hitter, but the guy does get on base a lot. The guy walks a lot. For a big guy, he's got a good eye, So he is not a slouch. He's just not a high average bat, that's the only thing. He hit 30 home runs in 2019 and was an all-star. This guy is not a slouch. But he's been released a couple of times because, he's not a high average hitter. But he's a .218 career hitter with a .343 on-base percentage. That's a high on-base percentage for a player. His slugging percentage is not very high. It's .411. His OPS is good. His OPS is .108 in his career. His OPS with the Mets last year was .139. That's 39% better than the average major leaguer. This guy, he does a lot of positive stuff. And he walks a lot. This guy walked 73 times in 2022. This guy walks a lot. In 2019, he walked 92 times. The guy's got a good eye. But he swings through a lot of pitches, though. He takes a lot of pitches, though. Greg Zeman, do you think Alvarez and Beatty will start the season in the minors? That's a possibility for both of them. I think that the probability is high for Beatty because he doesn't quite look ready. He's not ready yet. He's not fully formed yet as a major league player. I need to see more of him. I need to see more of his swing. I didn't see enough of his, and I didn't think it was successful enough for me to have an idea of what kind of bat he is. I can tell if a young player can hit, I think. You could see it. I mean, the guy swings through a fastball, or he pops it up a certain way. You could tell. That's how I know Dom Smith doesn't have a quick bat. That's how I knew that J.D. Davis didn't have a quick bat. Well, everybody knew he didn't have a quick bat. But Alvarez, on the other hand, he has a quick bat. You could tell with him that guy can hit. And you can tell he's very confident in himself. I don't know enough of the body language with Beatty. Because Alvarez, he's a big confidence guy. Everybody talks about how confident he is. So he's very confident. And I felt that some of the pitches that he was especially in that first game that he played for the Mets, that there were pitches in that game that he swung through that he was kicking himself for not crushing it. And I think maybe this year, if he gets a chance in those spots again, I think he will hit them like to the moon. against teams like the Braves. So I think that his own body language tells you that the guy thinks he can play. I don't know enough about Beatty whether he can play here or not. Once I get a little more sample of him, and I don't get fooled with his first at bat when he hit the home run and stuff. I need to see at least a month's worth of at bats to tell if a player can hit. But we'll see. I mean, the fact that they were willing to sign Correa to a big contract, they might not necessarily be sold on him. From Primo Brady, did you already talk about your thoughts? Did you already talk about Swanson going to the Cubs? What are your thoughts? I'll hang up and listen. He's a good player. He does strike out a lot. He's a very good defensive shortstop. They're going to have a very good up-the-middle defense. And obviously with Pete Crow Armstrong eventually getting called up in the next year or two, that's going to make a big difference. They're going to have a very good defense, to be honest with you. They're going to be very good defensively in the next few years. So that's the one thing I can say about the Cubs. Because Horner's a good defensive infielder, Swanson's good, and eventually when Pete Crow Armstrong gets called up to the big leagues, they're gonna have a very good defense. The money I didn't think was outrageous for the Cubs and for Swanson. I didn't think the years were crazy. I think some of the things that I've seen with the team spending so much money and really the length of contracts with these teams is just outrageous. I mean, you give 13 years to Carlos Correa, really? Buzz Talk Live says at least Swanson's out of our division. Right, he just killed the Mets. The guy. You get kind of shell shocked when the Mets play some of these teams that have these players that absolutely kill you, like Jesse Winkler for one. Jesse Winkler, he just rakes against the Mets. He kills the Mets. He just kills the Mets. But if you look at his overall numbers, they're not that great. The same thing with guys like Jurassic Profar. That guy kills the Mets, and his numbers suck. His numbers are terrible. But Swanson is a good player. They're many years away from being good again. The Cubs got another 2-3 years to build up that farm system. But it's not a very good team, And the Cub fans, they don't give a shit. I mean, they really don't. They just want to go sing, drink, hang out in the bleachers, sing, take me out to the ballpark, and that's it. They don't care if they ever win again. To be honest with you, they won in 2016, and they accepted losing again. When you have a fan base that's like that, that's accepting of it. It's not good for life. It doesn't help your team. But he's going to be good for them. How's he going to handle losing? The guy's been a guy that's been on winning teams. You got to deal with the Cardinals. You got to deal with the Brewers that are still kind of skulking around. The Pirates are eventually going to turn it around again. The Reds are in the abyss right now. Really the Cubs are in a weird spot because they're at some point, like I said, you got to bring in a big player. He's not there. He's not that guy. They should have won very hard after Aaron Judge. They didn't do that. But again, with players that are on other teams, their value is always highest with the team that they are originally on. Like with Brandon Nimmo, for instance, the Mets, he had more value to the Mets than he did to any of these other teams. Aaron Judge had higher value for the Yankees than he did for any other team. So, so Swanson's value is not nearly as high with the Cubs as it would be with the Braves if they brought him back. And it's telling that they didn't give him a long-term deal. That the Braves don't make too many mistakes with these contracts. Although they're probably kicking themselves when it comes to Acuna. It seems like Acuna is a bit disgruntled. But the fact that the Braves did not show out any big money for him or any big years for him, when the guy's been a pretty good player for them, tells you what they really think about him. I mean, teams that have these players, in their organization, if they don't want to, then there's got to be a reason why. I mean, the Mets were willing to give Jacob deGrom, a 3-year deal. They weren't willing to give him a 5-year deal, and they let him walk. And he didn't seem to want to be here. Greg Zeman, what about Trey Mancini? Yes, he did play for Buck, Greg. I am not a big fan of Mancini because he did not have a good second half with the Astros. He didn't look good. So I don't know what the deal is with his bat. If he was hitting like he had in the past, I'd be very interested in him. And he would have a big market. He doesn't have a market. He's going to take a 1-year deal. We've already seen tonight that the standard has been set with the contracts with JD Martinez getting 1 year for $10 million. So that should tell you something. That should tell you something about the market. That really is the deal. It's what's going on. So it'll be interesting to see where some of these other guys go, like Mancini. I can't imagine him getting 2 years from a team when the best DH of the two of them over his career got 1 year and $10 million. So I don't know. He might just go for 1 year, $10 million as well. I haven't heard any teams with him. I heard the Brewers early on, but since then I haven't heard anything. John Rosie, Adam Duvall, I don't care for him. I don't really care for him. I'm not a big fan of his. He had 3 big years in his career, and if you look beyond that, it's really very inconsistently bad. A lot of years of 15 home runs, 10 home runs, I'd stay away from him. And he was hurt last year. Let's talk live. What's your take on Brooks Raley? Well, they need a lefty in that bullpen. Right before they made the trade, there was talk that they were going to re-sign Aaron Loop, which I don't have a problem with them bringing him back too. And I bring him up because he came from the Rays, and so did Aaron Loop at the time. It seems like the lefties pitch well after leaving Tampa. That might be the one category of player that does well after they leave the Rays. Brooks Raley, I cannot fathom when I've seen him pitch. Okay? I will never tell you I've seen a player when I haven't. And I tell you, I think he's the best. Oh, he's the greatest, I'll never do that. So I'm not going to tell you that Raley is the be-all, end-all. But I would like to see the Mets bring in another lefty in here. Another lefty and another veteran right-hander. Keep an eye on Zach Britton, because Zach Britton pitched for Buck. So that is a guy that could get a contract with the Mets. Either a minor league contract or a 1-year big league contract. That's a guy to keep an eye on. If you want to keep an eye on a player, that's a guy to watch. Because he pitched for Buck. That's a guy to keep an eye on. Let me take a look at him. Zach Britton. He's 34 years old. He's going to be 35 next week. 35 years old. I think he was hurt. He was hurt last year. Araya says, "What about Chafin?" I think that ship has set sail with Andrew Chafin. I think we've been talking about him for so long; it's not going to happen. John Rossi, so you're good with Ruff Vogelbach as the DH? No, I don't like Ruff. He's got to go. I could deal with Vogelbach, but they need somebody a little bit better than Ruff. Obviously, they still need another bat. Their fourth outfielder. Let me see. They still need another bat. Their fourth outfielder is Khalil Lee. Khalil Lee is not going to be playing here. They will get a fourth outfielder. Like I said, if they can get a fourth outfielder that can DH too, that's fine. And the way the Mets outfield is constructed, you can settle in on a left-handed bat. In that spot. That's why Michael Conforto makes a little bit of sense, because then he's another guy you can bat him. You can bat him you can play him every day. You can DH him, and you can also play him in the outfield. From Anthony Desare. How you doing, Hut? I'm doing great. JD Martinez signing with the Dodgers. Who's the leader in the club as far as the bat the Mets get? Make a prediction. I like Michael Brantley. If he's healthy, he's at 300. I am fine with Brantley. I think I haven't heard anything about him. I haven't heard anything about his market. Let me just get back to Zach Britton before we move on to Brantley. To Zach Britton. I'm all right. Zach Britton. I'll get it right. I'll get it straight. All right. Zach Britton over the last 2 years has an ERA astronomically high. Astronomically high. Obviously, he hasn't been healthy the last couple of years. He's a guy that pitched for Buck Showalter a few years back, and he was one of the best relievers in baseball. The big reason why they went to the championship series a few years ago with Buck. He is a guy that I keep an eye on with the Mets. You could probably sign him to a minor league deal. And he's got a lot of talent if he's pitches well. That's a guy to keep an eye on. Michael Brantley. All right, let me get to Michael Brantley before I move on. Please like this video, of course, and subscribe to the baseball channel, Baseball Hit. All right, Michael Brantley, 5-time All-Star, 298 career batting average. He's 35 years old. In May, he'll be 36. Let me take a look at his numbers. Now, he got hurt this season. His numbers the last few years. Let me take a look here. He's not driven in 90 runs since 2019. I'm just taking a look at his numbers over his career. His OPS and 21, it was 119, so he's 19% better than the league. And last year was 125, so 25% better than the league offensively. He's 300. He's been a 300 hitter with the Astros. His numbers are pretty good. He was hurt last year. He was hit 288 last year, 370 on base. Well, on base is pretty good. Last few years. I could sign him. How much does he have left? That's where the scouts come in. The scouts got to tell me, Hut, this guy can still hit. His bat speed's still there. If his bat speed is still there, I'll take him. I'd be more than welcome to have him here. I'm fine with him. I can deal with him. I think he'd be pretty good here. And he's better than Vogelbach. He'll get a hit. Vogelbach, you never know if he's going to get a hit. Tends to swing through a lot of pitches and take a lot of pitches. All right. So this was a pretty interesting live stream. Keep your eye out for other live streams. Buzz Talk Live. You think they will pull the trigger on Conforto? I don't think so. To be honest with you, I don't see it. It's been very quiet with him. I haven't heard anything with the Mets. Anthony, this is why we have Steve Cohen offer a big number to Brantley for 1 year. I don't think you'll need to do that. I don't think you need to offer big money for him. He's not getting more than 1 year. But how much money is he going to take? How much money is he going to want? Yeah, I mean, Conforto wants to play. I'm going to get out of here. But Conforto wants to play on a team that has a hitter's park. He's not going to want to come back here. So, anyway, thank you for watching this live stream. We will be back in the near future. There might be a video tomorrow in the morning. Thank you. Well, John Rossi, don't worry about the Yankees. Okay? You're going to be pissed. The Mets have done enough. The Mets were better than the Yankees last year. I think the Mets know what they're doing. If Michael wants to go there, good luck to him. Let him hit 220 and 40 home runs and get knocked out of the playoffs like the Yankees do in the first round. I can't beat the Astros every year. Don't worry about him. That's the least of the Mets' problems and our problems. It's Mike and Conforto playing for the Yankees. Give me a break. Let's worry about the Mets and we'll be fine. Don't worry about him going there. If you're pissed over that, there's other things to be pissed about. So, again, thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Have a good night. Sleep tight. And I'll see you later.